Hello, and welcome to part 2 of 2 in my travel insurance series. Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm a travel advisor from Ontario, Canada, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Michelle Plans Travel. So today we're talking about common travel insurance mistakes that I have seen and how to avoid them. So the first one is kind of a pre-mistake because we addressed it in last week's video, and that is the assumption that OHIP covers you while you're traveling. OHIP, as we've covered, is not health insurance for your trips. It provides very, very limited coverage. So real mistake number one, assuming that your work covers you for your health insurance. Now, your work might provide you, your benefits on your work might provide you with some great travel insurance, great emergency medical coverage. That's fantastic. Many of the plans that I know do. But it's important to look and see what exactly they cover. So do they have a limit on how much they will cover? Do they cover things like dental as well? Do they cover hospital visits? Do they cover ambulance? Just basically know what it is they cover and is there a limit on it? It's also important to know who's covered under your work plan. Is it just you? Is it your travel companion, your spouse? Is it your children? You need to look at all of that stuff. Sometimes people mistakenly assume that their work insurance also provides them cancellation, trip interruption, and things like that. I have seen very few work or pension or plans that do cover cancellation. There are some out there, but it's few and far between. Mistake number 2 is that my credit card covers me. And it is true, there are quite a few credit cards out there that do come with some pretty great insurance. I've seen some pretty great cards in terms of both emergency medical and cancellation, interruption, delay, baggage, theft, things like that. However, you must read the fine print of your card. Do not assume that your card has the same coverage as somebody else's card. The cards can be very different, even if they're named very similar things. There can be different tiers to the card. So you need to go back to the terms and conditions of your card. And when in doubt, call your card and ask them what coverage it provides. Often credit cards will have a limit, a stricter limit on what you can claim. So it's up to a certain amount per person. As you get older, the medical insurance does tend to be reduced. So for such and such an age, it can be up to 14 days or longer. For the next tier, it can be up to 10 days, things like that. Usually they're a little bit longer. Also, again, understand who's covered. Very often it is the card holder and their spouse or the card holder and their traveling companion, but it doesn't often cover everybody on the trip. Also important to know that in order to have the credit card coverage cover you, you need to pay a percentage of the trip on that card. And there are various stipulations. Some cards will require you to pay 100% of the trip on that card to be covered. Some it's only 80, some it's 75. So again, that's something that you need to read the fine print on and figure out what are the terms and conditions that go along with your credit card for you to get the insurance that's included with that card. Another mistake that I hear a lot, unfortunately, is people just telling me, well, I'm healthy, I'm young, I don't have a problem. And while that may be true for you, the traveler, it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody in your family is healthy. So if you go on a trip and all of a sudden something happens and you get a call saying that somebody very close to you is ill or has unfortunately been in an accident and you need to come home right away, if you don't have travel insurance, you're on the hook for getting yourself home as soon as possible. Not only that, what about things like natural disasters? If a hurricane comes through or there's going to be flooding in the area or there's a fire, those things are not covered by the travel provider. While a lot of them will go to great lengths to evacuate you if something is coming, it is not their responsibility to do so. And so for you to have travel insurance to cover you is a much better idea. Mistake number 4 is a biggie, and this is waiting too long to purchase your insurance. I've had quite a few clients ask me if they can add travel insurance to their trip after something's already happened. Trip cancellation only protects you against future events. So if you didn't buy the insurance for your trip and your mom is now already in the hospital, You can't buy that insurance now and expect that to be covered. Mistake number 5 is a long one. We'll go into a little bit more detail with this, and it's not understanding pre-existing conditions. To be honest with you, this is still a topic that can confuse me slightly. And so when in doubt, it's always best to call the travel insurance provider and make sure that you understand what pre-existing conditions mean and what stability periods mean. This is where a lot of people get tripped up because they don't understand what the stability clauses and conditions that need to be met are. So many people will buy travel insurance and think, well, I bought the insurance, so I must be covered. However, what's very important to note is that you must qualify to be able to purchase that insurance. And if it is found out after the fact that you never qualified in the first place, you may not be covered for what you think you are. So a pre-existing condition is generally some sort of medical condition or health-related condition that you have before you purchase the trip and you purchase the insurance. So it could be things like diabetes, high blood pressure, a blood condition or a heart condition, things like that, or even something as common as ongoing back pain. Having a pre-existing condition doesn't preclude you from getting insurance. It just means that you have to make sure you get the right insurance and have the discussion with the insurance provider about what insurance you are eligible for. Stability periods are the part that confuse people the most. And I will be honest again, they do also confuse me sometimes because each insurance company and policy, they have their own stability periods and conditions. So insurance companies want to know that your pre-existing condition has been stable before you travel. Think of it like lending a car to somebody for a week. You'd rather lend your car to somebody who has a clean driving record than somebody who's had 3 accidents in the last week. So depending on the policy, stability can mean things like there's been no new diagnoses in the last however many months, no change in your condition, no change in your medication, no change in your dosage of medication, no hospitalization related to that condition. Every insurer defines stable differently, and every insurer will have a different stability period and clauses and terms and conditions surrounding that. So again, I just want to reiterate, it's very important that you talk to the travel insurance provider. For some policies, a medical questionnaire needs to be filled out. And it's very important that you answer the medical questionnaires honestly and thoroughly. And I do find that some people tend to rush through these and they think, oh, well, I haven't had an incident in, 10 years. But the fact of the matter is, if you were ever diagnosed with something, it still needs to go on there. You can't just erase it from history. You have to put it down. And it's not that they're trying to make it hard for you to get insurance. They don't want you to be denied later. So you need to go slowly, make sure you fill it out accurately and truthfully, and then you can go forward with the different insurance policies that do work for you. A couple common mistakes that people do make when it comes to medical conditions and filling out those forms is, well, I'm feeling better lately. Another one is, well, my doctor says it's okay to travel. It's only blood pressure medication. Oops, I forgot to mention something. So you can akin buying travel insurance to buying car insurance. If you don't answer the questions accurately, you could run into a problem later on when you're trying to make a claim. Mistake number 6 is not calling the insurance company for assistance as soon as there is an issue. The biggest time that this can be a problem is if you are in need of medical assistance. And I know it's kind of weird to think about call the insurance company first before you seek medical assistance, but that is the way that a lot of them want you to operate. So if you're traveling with somebody, they need to know, and you need to know if it's them, that before you seek medical attention or as you're seeking medical attention, one of you needs to call the insurance company and let them know where you are, what's happening, and that you need to go and see a doctor. This is because they can tell you what hospital or doctor they have an agreement with, or that can see you more quickly, or that they have payment terms laid out with, so that you don't have to pay anything out of pocket. Unfortunately, if you don't call right away, you could be out a certain amount of money out of pocket, and you may not be reimbursed that full amount according to the terms and conditions of the insurance policy. They can also help you find English speaking help if that is what you need. So they can guide you so that you are getting the best care possible. Again, they're not trying to make it difficult for you. They're trying to get you the best care possible in your situation. Mistake number 7, I have been guilty of this one myself, and that is not keeping receipts. So if something happens and your trip is delayed or interrupted, or your baggage is delayed and you need to go and buy clothes, you need to keep receipts of everything that happened, everything. And if you're worried about not being able to keep those receipts physically, take pictures of all of your receipts so that you have a digital copy of them. The other thing to note is if you need to book a hotel room, you should book it directly with the hotel so that you can get a receipt with all of the hotel's information on it. Keeping receipts is one part of it, but I will also mention that you need to keep everything related to a travel disruption or interruption. For example, if the airline sends you a message saying they are going to change your flights and it's an email, you need to keep that email so that you can prove what the new itinerary was. If you have a tour canceled while you're in destination and you get an email saying due to inclement weather or due to whatever, this tour has been canceled, you need to keep that email. Every single thing you need to keep. Okay, mistake number 8 is exceptions to the medical coverage. So some people do not read exclusions, and it's very important that you do. For example, the emergency medical coverage, generally speaking, will not cover you if you are participating in extreme sports. So things like mountain climbing, hang gliding, bungee jumping. If you consume too much alcohol or you're using illicit drugs and you have an accident while you're under the influence, that's probably not going to be covered. Illegal activities, not covered. Traveling against medical advice and traveling when there are government advisories in place saying that you shouldn't travel, your insurance is not going to cover you in those situations. Sometimes people do find these surprising, but they are all listed in the terms and conditions of the policies. So travel insurance really isn't a one-size-fits-all. It depends on who you are, what you have going on in your life and in your body. And it depends on what your trip is, how much money you've spent, and really what coverage is going to work best for you. And it's important that you have the discussion with your travel advisor or whoever you're buying the insurance from. And as a travel advisor, it is my duty to tell you about travel insurance. I have to tell you what's available. As long as you know what's available to you and you can pull from what you already have, buy a brand new policy, mix and match, as long as you're covered, that's what I'm really concerned about. If you're ever unsure when you're looking at buying an insurance policy, again, it's always best to ask the questions ahead of time so that you're not in a situation where you wished you had asked the question. Ask questions before you travel, not when something goes wrong. That way, you're not going to be trying to sort it out during an emergency. So that's it for part 2 of 2 for travel insurance, common mistakes that I see people make and how to avoid them. I'd be interested to know if you have made a travel insurance mistake or if you have a travel insurance question. I'd be happy to answer that if you want to leave your question in the comments section below. As always, I just want to say thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you're liking what you see, please like and subscribe and follow along as we go on this journey together.